A strike began on the 17th of April at the Bekayert factory, where the Özçelik İş Union is organized. An agreement was reached on the 15th of May, bringing the strike to an end. The Wildcat strike, launched by Dev Maidensen union members working at Çifte Mining, an Oyak Erdemir subcontractor in Divriği Sivas, in response to the closure of the underground iron mine and the dismissals, continues. On April 18th, the workers held a press statement outside the Oyak Financial Center in Istanbul. On April 16th, workers at TYH Textile, members of the Disk Textile İş Union, held a protest in front of the factory. They demanded payment of delayed wages, an end to anti-union pressure, and an improvement in working conditions. On April 24th, workers at the Happy Mag Resort Sea Garden Hotel, where the Taleis Union is organized, went on strike after the boss refused to negotiate a collective bargaining agreement and pressured the workers to resign from the union. The strike, the first in the hotel's nearly 30-year history of union organization, ended on May 1st with an agreement. The Wildcat strike, launched by Doruk mining workers under the leadership of the Independent Mine Workers Union, ended in victory. On April 28th, at a press statement held in Ankara, the union announced that the workers' delayed wages, severance pay and notice pay, and pay differences arising from the collective bargaining agreement would be paid, and that the practice of unpaid leave would end. On May Day, the International Day of Unity, Struggle and Solidarity of the Working Class, hundreds of thousands of workers gathered in squares across the country, particularly in Istanbul. At the rallies where objections were raised against low wages, poor working conditions, oppression, the violation of rights and injustice. Calls were made for solidarity with Middle Eastern workers against imperialist war and Zionist aggression. On May Day, the Workers' Struggle Organization UİDER took its place at the rally held at Kadıköy Square in Istanbul. UİDER upheld the spirit and tradition of May Day, with workers' children marching at the forefront, alongside an enthusiastic contingent of women, workers from various sectors, and young people chanting, "Our path is the path of the working class." From the UİDER contingent, slogans calling for struggle against exploitation, oppression, fascism, and imperialist war, as well as for international unity and solidarity, were raised. On May 6th, the Teksif Union held a press statement in front of the Geza Slipper factory in the Bolu Organized Industrial Zone to protest dismissal attacks and anti-union attitudes. On May 6th and 7th, health workers at Ege University Hospital, members of various unions in the health sector, staged a work stoppage against low incentive payments, unpaid one-month shift wages, and poor working conditions. On May 8th, workers at Safe Spice Food in the Aegean Free Zone, where the Tekgıda İş Union is organized, went on strike after collective bargaining negotiations failed to reach an agreement. Municipal workers in Karşıyaka, Buca, and Bayraklı, members of various unions, continue their struggle against attempts to violate their rights secured through collective bargaining agreement. On May 7th, workers at Karşıyaka municipality, and on May 8th, workers at Bayraklı and Buca municipalities carried out work stoppages. On May 12th, the 100th day of their strike, teachers at the private Italian high school, organized under the Tezkop İş Union, marched from the school to the Italian consulate against long working hours, harsh working conditions, low wages and inequalities. The march was also attended by pro-labor political parties and union representatives, including UİDER. On May 12th, workers organized under the Disk Lastik İş Union at Procter & Gamble's two factories in Gebze and Şekerpınar went on strike after collective bargaining negotiations failed to reach an agreement. On May 13th, miners at the Egetaş Coal Enterprise, who are members of the General Mine Workers Union, launched a wildcat strike and demanded the payment of wage differences and other entitlements arising from the collective agreement that had not been paid for 2 years, as well as the implementation of workplace health and safety precautions. Mehmet Turkmen, president of Burtek Sen Union, was released on May 12th, following the first trial hearing held at the Gaziantep courthouse, after being detained for 57 days. Representatives from various trade unions and pro-labor political parties in Turkey, Germany, and the United Kingdom attended the trial to support Turkmen.